Cutting a new flower bed into your lawn may seem like a daunting task, but it's actually quite straightforward. Here's how I do it. It's time for the next stage in the creation of our central seating area. Those are the Adirondack chairs that'll go on it. You may remember I trimmed the apple tree back to raise its skirts, so it was like an umbrella sheltering us from the sun, but you can actually still see the garden around it. Trimmed back this old rose, but I love this gnarled trunk of this apple tree. And then I did a plan showing what I wanted to achieve around it, and that is to give this wraparound effect so that when you sit down in one of your chairs with your other half, you're surrounded and, in a way, embraced by flowers and foliage. So it's a fairly straightforward thing to do. I'll leave the front bit open, obviously, so you can get in and out to your chair, but then making a border that follows the shape of this bit of paving here, but goes right the way around the tree. And the easiest way to cut it out is with this evil-looking instrument, the half-moon iron. If you're doing a long bed or border, obviously you can stretch a taut garden line out and cut to that. But here, I'm sort of following by eye, being experienced and very old. I think I know the line I'm doing. But if you push your half moon in and you wiggle it about, you can see the shape you're making. And if it's wrong, you can then take it up and kick it back so that you're covering up that line and making a new one. I love doing this. There's something wonderfully creative about making a new bed, bringing life where life did not exist before, except for a bit of grass that's suffering from the drought. I want to be fairly generous with this, but I have a liking, as well as for deep, generous borders, for narrow ones, what I call ribbon borders, because they wrap around things. You can do them either side of a path. Borders only about 2 feet wide that run alongside a straight path or a winding one. And they look really very pretty, very attractive, and very inviting. The least important part of it, where you can do a bit of fudging if you need to, is round the back, because everybody's facing that way. Now hopefully my lines will meet when I get there. I'm just trying to mirror these two sides here so they go along and in and then back by about the same sort of length. The weather has been really hot and dry, so what I've done here, just to show how we can make a border, is I've really soaked the earth before I've started digging it out. That way I can cut a decent line in it rather than it turning to dust. I've just got this last bit now to link up the straight bit at the back with this side here. So it's now a case of lining those two up by that age-old thing called eye. Wiser people would get a line out. Idiots like me like taking a bit of a risk. Consider I've done that by eye. That's not half bad. Years of experience at the grindstone of horticulture. And now I've got the shape correctly cut out, I can get the spade, skim off the turf as narrow and as thin as possible, because I want to keep the earth underneath it, and then the turf I'm skimming off will go on the compost heaps. This is where you really begin to see it now, as I skim off the grass. I want to avoid taking too much soil off because that's what I want to use. Doesn't matter if this all falls apart, shows I'm doing it thinly. So I marked it out with a half moon, stripped off the turf with a spade, and then we're working on this. Matt's helping because this is really tough stuff around a tree. Soil's very hard, it's also very dry, so I'm working in loads of well-rotted farmyard manure here. You can use any kind of organic matter at all, home compost heap if you want, but be generous, work in as much as you can. This isn't only providing nutrition, it's providing moisture holding capacity. And in dry summers, the more moisture that you can get to stay around the roots, the better will your plants establish and last through the hot weather. So we're working our way all the way around this, and there's no rush. Nobody's got a time clock on you. Nobody is judging you if you get help. I hope. What I hope you can see here now as well is the shape of the bed. This sort of hexagonal patio bit in the middle, and the edge of the bed is mirroring that but expanded. So we've kept the sort of shape of the central garden feature, and I want to feast my eyes on it for a moment or two without anything in it, just to convince myself that it wasn't actually a bad idea doing that, was it? I'm trying to do a sort of framework of lowish shrubs round the back, of which more in a minute, and then some lower ones round the front, and intersperse them with summer flowering perennials. So I'm choosing plants which can cope at the back where it is shadier with a bit of shade, quite a few evergreen shrubs there, and then coming round to summer flowers at the front where the light is better, and where when you're sitting in those two chairs, when they pop back, you can enjoy the flowers around you. So always place before you plant, and then you'll feel more confident that you've got it right. If you plant each bit as you do it, you sometimes think, I want that there. There's still a chance that might happen. But there we are, a ping moment, I call them. You put something in, you think, oh, yeah, that's all right. And that little erigeron in there, which seeds itself around, will eventually find its way through. I've planted up quite thickly, I admit. I've been a bit generous with it, but I want it to look like it's going to look, so you can see what the overall effect will be. Time to get down on my knees now, get them in. This little shrub here, you might even call it a shrublet, is one of the unsung heroes of the garden. It's a little euonymus. It's called Euonymus Emerald Gaiety. There's another one called Emerald and Gold, which has a yellow edge to the leaf. This one has a creamy white edge. It grows perhaps about waist height. It's evergreen, really useful, happy in almost any soil, sun or shade. And if it hits a wall, these stems start scaling upwards. So it's just a really good doer. I hesitate to call it a filler, but it is, I suppose, really. And in a situation like this, it'll make this deep rug underneath the tree, and it won't mind the rather shady conditions back here I'm putting choisia in here behind it, and an escalonia there to the right. A really good plant for seaside gardens, escalonia. Again, evergreen leaves, but that lovely pink blossom in spring and summer. So I'm ending up with this great rug back here, which is evergreen. All these plants will keep their leaves in winter, so there's always something to look at. These Japanese anemones have long been a stalwart of the late summer border, coming into flower in August and going on right through September and October into autumn. But now we have the Swan series. This is Elfin Swan. They start earlier, as early as June, and carry on flowering right the way through to autumn. So they're giving us better value for money. Now, Japanese anemones are incredibly tough. They sometimes take a year or two to settle in and be happy. If you plant them and they sulk for a year or two, be patient with them, because when they do get going, they're really useful. Throw them in with your fingers, no air pockets. Beginning to come together, isn't it? When you're looking for plants to go under trees, don't forget the Japanese anemone. They're really good in shade like this, and they last for such a long time, right on into the autumn. And with the Swan varieties, they start earlier too. What's not to like, eh? This little beauty here is a relative of lamb's ears, you know, the creeping one with the white furry leaves. It's a stachys, and this is Stachys summer grapes, which is a lovely thing with these spires of flower, classic dead nettle flowers, and they are absolutely adored by bees. Now you may say, what do you want to put a plant that attracts bees for where a sitting area is? Well, because bees are everywhere, and we need to get used to not doing a windmill impersonation, and you'll hear them buzzing beautifully. I'm lowering this into the hole, and I'm planting most of these things here in 2s and 3s. This whole myth about you must plant in odd numbers, never even numbers, absolutely rubbish. It doesn't matter what number you plant in, just plant for the effect that you want. And I think you'll agree this is beginning to come together now. I'm working on the height building from the front to the back. These at the front here, the geraniums and the Nepeta, are quite low. This is about the height it is, this Stachys. And then the Japanese anemones will get much taller, and at the back the shrubs will be taller still. So you will get this kind of wraparound effect of an increasing sized wall of greenery and flowers into which you can snuggle. Can't wait to put these chairs back and try it out. Provided you're allowed to use your hosepipe, give them a really good drink. Probably more than you think. You're establishing them here for the good of the planet, for wildlife and yourself. It's not irresponsible. It's a very responsible thing to do, to plant a garden, but we do have to obey regulations, don't we? But use whatever resources of water you have to feed your plants, which in turn feed us and the wildlife with which we share our earth. This is a vital thing to do, not a frippery, something which is for the greater good. So there we are, what was once a bit of old paving round a big old gnarled apple tree with an old roller stuck alongside it has become an inviting sanctuary, a little sitting area where you can admire your garden, have a glass or a mug, surrounded by flowers which tone in with the paintwork of the heritage blue. Well, I'd like to sit there. Really pleased with that. Nice, isn't it? If you've enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? I post new gardening videos every week to help make your garden beautiful, productive, and a pleasure to be in.